Emerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Burby's 99.5 FM.
Kaieteur Radio.
Guyana, please join me on the Glenn Lal Show, 99.1, 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio, every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, 7:20 p.m. and a rebroadcast of the next day at 11 a.m. just in case you miss that program.
This is the news on top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
Good evening. Welcome to this evening's newscast on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. I'm Kevin Smith. Without further ado, let's get to the news in detail. The statutory meeting of GCOM, scheduled for the discussion of the dismissal of CEO Keith Lowenfield and others, was postponed today after two of the APNU AFC appointed commissioners, Vincent Alexander and Charles Corbin, failed to show up. The meeting has now been rescheduled for next Tuesday. Earlier, PPPC appointed GCOM Commissioners Bibi Shadiq, Assis Gunraj and Manoj Narain tabled three separate motions for the immediate dismissal of Lowenfield, his Deputy CEO Roxanne Myers, and Region 4 Returning Officer Claremont Mingo. The three officials, who are currently before the court on charges related to electoral fraud, were cited for a series of grave violations connected to the March 2020 elections. And moving on. It was revealed yesterday that the government has made a down payment of $3 million or 618 million Ghana dollars to an American company called Metal Shark Boats to build an offshore patrol vessel to protect Guyana, should there be a Venezuelan insurgent. Guyana is expected to pay a total sum of $11.5 million for the boat. At least this is according to Minister of Parliamentary Affairs and Governance, Gail Teixeira. Teixeira was at the time making a case on behalf of the government for using money from the contingency fund to make the down payment on May 20th, 2021. And moving on, the Air Finale administration still has not published all oil development production licenses granted to ExxonMobil, despite Vice President Dr. Bharata Jagdeo committing to do so on October 2nd, 2020. We understand that the Vice President has to give the approval to subordinates to release the remaining documents for Liza Phase 1 and Liza Phase 2. The government rode into office on one promise, among many, that it would be more transparent than the administration before it. The Granger administration never released the production licenses for the Liza Phase 1 and 2 projects, which collectively allows ExxonMobil the right to wipe out over 1 billion oil equivalent barrels. It had released the Stabroek Block production sharing agreement and came under harsh criticism for the industry low revenue share and other poor terms. And moving on, 3 persons are now dead following a vehicular accident yesterday on the Fort Wellington Public Road on the west coast of Berbice. The dead persons have been identified as 23-year-old Carlos Edwards Jr., 61-year-old Hukum Chand Parmanandan, and 36-year-old Shabana Latif. The injured are 27-year-old Jacqueline Cole and her 6-month-old baby Carlin Edwards and 57-year-old Lekram Mangal. Reports suggest that the incident occurred sometime around 5 hours. Police said Edwards Jr. and the others, being passengers, were proceeding to Georgetown along the southern side of the Fort Wellington Public Road in his hire car at a fast rate at the time of the accident. It is understood that Edwards Jr. was negotiating a left bend on the road when he lost control of the vehicle, causing it to slam into the concrete and mesh fence of the GCOM's office before plowing into a utility pole and then finally turning turtle in a drain on the side of the road. In other news, 21-year-old Sudarshani Ram Singh, who pretended to be an employee at the Central Housing and Planning Authority in order to sell a plot of land located on the east coast of Demerara, yesterday made her first court appearance for the offense. Ram Singh was not required to plead to the charge, which alleges that on September 4, 2019, with intent to defraud $1.2 million from Talesh Karsotam, she falsely pretended that she was employed by the CHNPA and in a position to sell a plot of land. She was granted $75,000 bail and the matter was adjourned to June 28. And moving on, a landlord is now in hiding after he reportedly set his house on fire to get rid of his tenant. According to a police report, the suspect has been identified as a 56-year-old Mumtaz Ali of 152 Better Hope, East Coast, Demerara. The report stated that around 19 hours on Sunday, at Ali's address, he set his room on fire due to a reported conflict he had with his tenant. We understand that Ali had served his female tenant a lawyer's letter to remove from his premises, but she failed to comply. The tenant reported to the police that she and her children were selling food on the road when they observed smoke coming from the house. It was also reported to the police that the tenant and her children saw the landlord running from the house and into a neighbor's yard. The fire only caused damage to the house. And now let's tell you, on Wednesday, June 16th, Caribbean Airlines will start commercial flights between the Miami International Airport and Georgetown, Guyana. To kickstart the relaunch, all customers who book from now until July 14th will enjoy a double miles, according to a release the airline issued yesterday. The weekly flight, which is conveniently timed to facilitate connections, will operate every Wednesday. Caribbean Airlines currently boasts the most extensive network in the region, which it is expanding to provide better connectivity and authentic Caribbean hospitality. Customers are reminded that wearing a mask is mandatory during check-in, while boarding, and for the duration of the flight. And now let's tell you, with floodwaters remaining at a high level in several parts of the country, President Irfan Ali announced that it is now a Level 3 disaster. This latest classification could see the administration seeking international help. Minister of Agriculture Zulfikar Mustafa and a team of officials from his ministry, along with regional officials, were able to inspect and assess the integrity of the Abari Conservancy. The visit was also intended to ascertain whether several instructions that were given during a previous visit were implemented. The minister gave instructions to officers from the various agricultural agencies to visit all flood-affected farmers in the Abari Creek area, distribute feed and treat animals. However, some farmers revealed that the officers are yet to be visited. A development that Minister Mustafa wants investigated. Further, the minister disclosed that he has asked that disciplinary action be taken against those officers who have not implemented the instructions that were given. And to wrap things up this evening, let's tell you the government, through its Human Services and Social Security Ministry, is aiming to make available more counseling and support services to members of the public. This was underscored in a joint statement the ministry issued with its Child Care and Protection Agency. The statement was triggered by the death of a teenager, Sarah Narayan, by way of suicide. Based on an investigation conducted by the CPA, it was deduced that there was an issue at the school involving the child that required special skills and guidance to deal with the matter. The persons at school at the time apparently tried their best that they knew in the situation, the statement added. Nevertheless, it was underscored that suicide is not the way out. In light of this, it was acknowledged that there is definitely a clear need for more trained counselors to be readily available to students. And with that, we've come to the end of this evening's newscast. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening. Do have an enjoyable and safe Tuesday night.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.
Kaieteur Radio.
Covering Guyana from coast to coast.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Guys, Guinea Bissau is a tropical country on the West African coast of the Atlantic. They speak Portuguese there. The president was videotaped beating up one of his ministers on the public road for thieving the COVID money. I love that man. I want leaders like him, not like what we have here. We have bleeders for leaders in this country. We bleeders have 2% brains, and Exxon have 98% brains. Let me tell you all a quick story. The first one, Jagdev held a press conference and invited the entire press and me personally to brief us on the Gas to Show project and tell us no recordings. 2, ExxonMobil and the EPA invited all Guyana to a national consultation, participation on the 4th oil project, the Yellowtail. I was the only Guyanese who turned up to it. I thought the press would have been there to record the proceedings, but no one showed up. So I asked ExxonMobil for a recording of the consultation, and them said they didn't record it, although they had 2 persons videoing it there. Yes, Jagdev briefing Guyana on the dead donkey, the gas to shore, until we don't record it. ExxonMobil and the EPA had a national consultation with all Guyana, and them said them record it too. Wow. Mr. Ali, been to Berbice, and hear this. A man asked him, what's the interest rate he paying on the $20 billion? And he said, oh, you looking at the Glenn Lal show? We have answers for all his questions, but he never answered the man. On to now. I received a letter from the Guyana National Broadcasting Authority, the people who does monitor the airwaves, issue radio and TV license, and who can shut you down. They wrote me and say how 3 things they believe the radio station did wrong. They call it yellow infractions, that they think is breaches of the broadcasting guidelines. The first one, they claim how on the 9th of March, I air unsubstantiated claims and opinions presented as facts. Them say I must make sure I present fairness and balance, but I never point out. They didn't point out anything, specifically what I did wrong, which I find was very funny and amusing. Them talk about my morning program that is being run by a man named Casual. They say he plays some song, Rum in the Vein, a song that is played all over the world. Them say that's offensive. And the third one that I say, and I quote them, Guyana, I freaking upset. Nothing is wrong with that. I am freaking upset. I am upset. So they don't want me to say back that word. Well, I will be using a proper word, one that's in the dictionary. It's called fracking. Yeah, fracking is a real word. It comes from the word fracture. Under the ocean floor, we normally say it's the oil basin, but oil is not in no damn basin. Under the ocean floor is pure rocks. Oil, gas, and the deadly produced water lives in those rocks. So when they drill into those rocks, 5, 6, 7 miles down, that's how you know whether oil is there. When you done pull up the oil from that huge rock that you bore, you frack the other rocks side to it. The right, the left, the front, the back. Yes. You frack it. It's called fracking. You fracture the other rocks so that oil can come over into the hole you dig. Picture you got a bedroom. You bore a hole from the top and you're sucking out oil from there. The next bedroom, you frack the wall, meaning you crack the wall so that the oil comes over into the bedroom that you're sucking from. That is what is called fracking, brothers and sisters. Ali, them two get in fracking. And we get in fracking morning, noon, and night. That's what they're doing out there. Guys, before the GNBA helped me fight this wholesale robbery of our wealth, our resources, so that all Guyana can come out a winner, them writing me to tell me about infractions. Wow. Me and my people, the Kaieteur News team, fighting every day and night to correct this thievery going on. And them upset with me and my staff. The man were exposing corruption. Them want to close him out. Well, I'm waiting to see how y'all gonna do that. I am not upset with you, GNBA. No, I am astonished. Please join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7:20 p.m. and let's have these type of frank discussion. Thanks for listening.
Tuesday, June 15th. Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.